we're going to get going again and continue to have a good time. So, for myself, originally when I put this show together, I was going to do some spoken word. And some of you know I do open mic here. I go to RAS, Redmond Association Spoken Word. And my typical thing is I write stories and then perform them. And that was my original plan for tonight. But some things happened this past month of September that kind of changed what I wanted to talk about. So tonight is not going to be a story. I'm just going to talk about some things that are on my heart. And I'm just asking your indulgence, I guess, in a sense. So first I wanted to start with a quick history of my connection to soul food and why soul food has really become a second home for me. I've lived most of my life in Southern California, and 3 years ago my nephew got a job up at Microsoft. He invited me to come up and visit him here, and he's more like a son to me. And I came up just to spend Labor Day weekend seeing Redmond, seeing him, just checking out the town, have a good time. And a couple things happened. I fell in love with the town pretty much immediately, but Drew was taking me around town, showing me things, and he knows me so well, he was taking me to places that he knew I would like right away. Because what I didn't know is 2 nights later at dinner, he was going to ask me to move up here. And so one of the places he took me was soul food. And I fell in love with soul food after about 2 seconds. And like I said, he asked me to move up here and be part of his life. He was going to get married, start a family. He wanted me to be part of that life. And so I went back to California, worked out a deal with our CEO to keep my job and move up here and work remotely. So that was the start for me in soul food. And I came to an open mic night, and it was really a transformational experience for me because my day job is I work as a producer in logistics, but 20 years ago I used to write and perform in coffee houses, and I was with a group of artists, and it just kind of faded away, and the creative side of me had been dormant for about 20 years. So after coming to a few soul food open mic nights, I got up the courage to get up on this stage and read one of my stories. And my best friend of 40 years flew up to see me that weekend, and he came here to support me, and I was shaking like a leaf before I got on the stage. And but it kind of broke the ice, and then I started writing new stuff. I started coming to poetry nights here. Michael Dylan Welch has hosted poetry nights here for about 112 years or something like that. I also started some artist meetings here, and right here at Soul Food as a result of Jordan Curbs. I had problems with another venue. Jordan connected me to this venue, and that was the moment where I cried. And we have artist meetings here now once a month to connect artists of all different mediums, so that's at Soul Food. Also, I don't think she's here now, but early on when I came to Soul Food, one day I was walking through that door, so I was about 20 feet from the coffee station, and I heard, "Hi, Marko." And I looked around, and I literally was like, where's that voice coming from? God? Do you have a very cute feminine voice? What's going on? And all of a sudden I realized it was Haley greeting me. And in this world of sort of anonymity, I think it was the playwright Noel Coward said, when someone asked him, what's the best place? He goes, it's the place you're known. And when I come here, I feel like I'm known. I'm part of the community. And that's not accidental. Kevin and his wife, Makia, and Kevin's on audio tonight, they've intentionally created a venue here at Soul Food which reaches out to the community in a million different ways. And they've created a place for the community to gather, and they value the arts. There's arts here all the time. And so the fact that I felt like this was a home was a byproduct of their intentional work. And as I mentioned before, at Poetry Night, I saw a band of poets, and SoulLight was born, and an opportunity to focus on the positive things in life. However, I was also here 29 days ago at Open Mic Night, and I had a friend, Ava, with me, and her 14-year-old daughter, they've been here about a year from China, got up on stage and was performing with a classical Chinese instrument. It's a great night, an opportunity again for someone to get up on stage and experience that for the first time. And I got a phone call from my sister, and I immediately said, can't answer it now. And then I thought, after my friend Ava left, I was like, that's kind of weird. I'm enjoying the music, but It's odd for my sister to call me on a Saturday night. So I walked out to that patio, and I called my sister back, and she told me that my best friend of 40 years, Russ, had died earlier that day of a massive and sudden heart attack. That was 29 days ago. And I'm still pretty much in denial, but, I was talking to Russ about 4 days before he died. He was talking about his plans for Halloween, his favorite holiday of the year, and he was going to go to Prague next year, had all these plans, and he's gone now. And then, not long after that, I got word that Scarlett was going to have surgery and had to drop out of SoulLight. So that got me thinking about my own life, and some of you know this story, but when I was born, my dad got to the hospital, and they said I was only going to live 2 days, and they didn't want my mom to kind of bond with me. And in and out of hospital all my childhood life. I've had a variety of medical issues and started doing better. And then 3 years ago, sat in a doctor's office, and he said, Marko, you're feeling good now, but the disease you've got now, you're going to die early. And that's a pretty non-specific death sentence, and it was a pretty tough news to hear. But what I did with that information is decided, okay, if that's the hand that's dealt with me, I'm going to live to the very best of my ability every day. And that's what I've been doing for the last few years. Kind of like every day is overtime for me. I don't know when that whistle is going to blow. And one of the things I've been asking myself constantly, and I'm redefining it all the time, but with Russ leaving this world and Scarlett having a scare, I've been asking myself, what does it mean to live well every day? And especially, what does it mean to live a worthwhile life? I'm going to keep referencing Michael Dillon Welch, but he turned me on to a poet called Mary Oliver. And she has a line that I love and has become a mantra for me. She asks the question, tell me, what is your plan to do with your one wild and precious life? So I just want to take the next couple of minutes to share some thoughts that I've been having about that question, some answers I've come up with, and indulge me for a couple of minutes, and then Jordan and Band of Poets will be back up. The first thing that I feel strongly about is it's important to be present and truly enjoy the single pleasures of life. For example, for me is coffee. I love coffee. I drink coffee every day. And when I moved to Redmond, I literally had like a $13 coffee maker, and I was drinking crappy coffee every day. And all of a sudden I thought, why am I doing this? I love coffee. So I went out, I got a French press coffee maker. I got a really nice drip coffee maker. I went to Cafe Lusso here in town, local business. I get fresh beans there. They're great. And then I did some research, got a Keurig machine. I get coffee that's so strong, Keurig cups, that sort of my ears bleed when I drink it. So now I have 3 great coffee makers at home, and it's a simple pleasure, but it's something I enjoy every day. Another example of being present and enjoying the moment is my friend Becca, who's here tonight, a dear friend. And one of the things that Becca and I like to do is we like to go walking around this beautiful town of Redmond. But if you go walking with Becca, it's not like walking with anybody else. You're going to stop a lot. And the reason is Becca has this amazing eye for what's going on around. We walked on the river trail, which I've walked hundreds of times, and she was stopping and noticing some trees that had some interesting bark. So we stopped, and she took pictures of this bark. And she'll find stones and cement that's worn and got interesting. And she will observe it and enjoy it and relish it and take photographs of it. Go to a furniture store with Becca, and she'll be taking pictures. She'll find a glass vase and taking pictures through the glass at something on the other side. Becca has a true appreciation for being in the moment and seeing the beauty of life. And it's something that she does every day as she's walking around this earth. So that's my first thought, is be present and truly enjoy the simple pleasures in life. Second, I really believe in pursuing your passions fearlessly. This is not as serious, but I think it's also important. I'm a college football freak, and growing up in California, my whole life I heard about the greatest setting for college football was over at UW. And last year I went, and it was like a bucket list moment, sitting there and seeing the boats coming in and walking around the tailgating and being in that loud stadium and seeing the guys come into the purple haze. I'm a huge hockey freak. I got into the Everett Silvertips. I'm a season ticket holder. I help out the Booster Club. And a few months ago, I spontaneously started painting, and I paint now, and I'm enjoying it. And I have no education and no training, but I love it. I really believe in following your passions. And I reference my friend Russ real quick. lived every day passionately, and he had a lot of interests, and he didn't care what other people thought. And I'll give you an example. He loved Day of the Dead, Dies dos Mortos, and his family's going to have his memorial service November 2nd because it's the last day of the Dead. And early on, when Russ and I were roommates in a house shortly after college, Halloween was his favorite party of the year, and he used to decorate and go crazy. And one year he said, I want to do a skull and skeleton theme. I said, what do you mean? I want to have skulls and skeletons hanging up all the house. What do you mean, real ones? Yeah. And I go, that's like completely impractical. He goes, oh, no, I got a bunch of friends I can call. They've got all kinds of skulls and skeletons. Exactly, right? I'm like, oh, my roommate has a close network of friends that he can call up and bring in skulls and skeletons. So, but you know what? Russ didn't care. That was how he lived. He lived his passions and he pursued them all the way through. Third, I believe in making a list each morning. This is a gift a friend gave me, and I don't know about you, but we've talked about negativity and trying to focus on the positive, and I find that sometimes in life there's daily challenges, and I find that myself sometimes there's problems in life that are on my mind, and they seem to be on the forefront of my mind. Problems at work, problems with whatever. And I find that if I sit down in the morning and take just a couple minutes to write down, what my friend taught me this exercise, try it sometime, write down what you're angry about, write down what you're fearful about, and write down what you're thankful and blessed about. And I have done this over the years, and swear it, every time I sit down and I'm angst-ridden and angry and fearful about something, and I start writing it down, and 2 or 3 fears go down, 2 or 3 angers go down, and then when I get to the blessings and I really start to think about the blessings in my life, I've always run out of space on the paper. And an example is I might be angry at a neighbor, and then I write down, but I have a warm, safe place to sleep tonight. And so I'd recommend trying that sometime. Make a list each morning of the things you're fearful of, angry of, and the blessings. And trust me, you'll realize you have a lot more blessings in life. And the fourth thing is, I believe strongly, discover your way, not someone else's way, but your way to make the world a better place and pursue it fearlessly. For me, years ago, I read a book called Purpose-Driven Life, a bestseller, and a lot of people, millions of people read that book and were able to discover a greater purpose in their life. For me, it just confirmed what I already knew. I think my bigger purpose in life is to work with young people and mentor them, and that's played out in a variety of ways. As I mentioned before, my nephew's like my son. I mentored him for many years. He's an amazing young man now. I coached youth roller hockey for about 10 years, and I was in California. I was a big brother. I'm a big brother again, and I was also in California at what's called a CASA. It was actually started in Seattle. A judge saw kids coming through what they call the system, and it's where kids are taken out of abusive homes and they go into the foster care system, and these kids and CASAs get the highest at-risk kids. The kids, they have social workers and lawyers and all that, but they don't have one human being usually that's actually looking out for them. I got matched up with a young man who'd come from a horrible background. His parents had abandoned him at age 10. He couch surfed for like 6 years. He was technically a sophomore in high school, but he had credits for about half the freshman year. And I was told he would never graduate from high school. And I was able to get him transferred to another school. He graduated, and after graduation, he met with me. He got a job in a warehouse, and he'd moved out of his foster home that wasn't good and moved in with a friend and was doing well. And that's my thing. I like working with youth, but that's my thing. My sister, real quick, she loves animals. She is always doing dog rescues. She'll drive down to Oregon to rescue a dog and get into a better home. She's currently volunteering at a place over by Seattle where they just got like 100 dogs out of a kennel, one of those puppy kennels, and so she's working with them. And there's a great video that I can show you sometime of her going through this elaborate rescue operation, like a Mission Impossible, to rescue one frog in a pond over in Redmond. So that's our things, but I encourage you to find your thing. One way that you can, that's in your heart, that's not a labor, that you can do passionately and love and help make the world a better place. So that's it. Be present and truly enjoy the simple pleasures. Pursue your passions fearlessly. Make a list each morning of your fears, your angers, and your blessings, and then discover your way to make the world a better place and pursue it fearlessly. Thanks for indulging me. I hope it's helpful.